Have you ever been tired and exhausted after writing a term paper in one night, and afterwards you said, damn, next time I'm not doing that again, but then the next paper comes around and you just end up doing the same thing?
Well, folks, that happens to the best of us. To my knowledge, it happens to everyone at least once or twice. I think we can all remember the days back in high school where we lost the usages of drafts and just wrote the paper right then and there. The problem is, in college, as you will or might have already learned, it isn't as easy. Writing a paper isn't just sitting down and doing it. It's a process.
In the first homework assignment I ever had in college, it was an essay about exploring writing. I wrote a nice simple paper, no drafts, no edits, just one solid paper. I thought it was good until I realized that good papers can't be written that way. I lacked purpose, and I was vague and slightly touched on a lot of subjects, but didn't quite focus on a topic. One main part of this process is to develop multiple drafts. In my first draft ever for my big essay, I wrote about Pop-Tarts. This obviously wasn't going to be in my final piece, but during the first draft I just wrote about to keep me writing and thinking. Looking over my first draft and seeing all the edits by my peer, it's a good sign that there's a lot more work to go. Comparing it to the drafts after that, there aren't as many lines written all over it, or even it at all. The biggest part of the first draft isn't to have it nice and neat, but it's to get the ideas flowing, and it gives you time in between to see what's really necessary and what isn't in the paper. After your second draft, your paper starts to take form and gain its shape. All the crap in the first draft is gone, like talking about Pop-Tarts. Your paragraphs should begin to flow with each other, and your paper should start to become final. After this stage, I would suggest getting another set of eyes to look over your work, just to make sure you didn't miss anything. I had completely different ideas in my first draft compared to my final paper. I even kind of changed what I wrote about. If not for the draft process, I wouldn't have changed my ideas at all, and my final paper wouldn't have had a completely different focus. The draft system is always successful. In my next writing assignment, I was almost excited to write my draft. I knew it didn't have to be that great, so I wasn't that focused on it. This time I decided to make it short and to the point. By doing this technique, I can add on instead of taking away.
Believe me, once you go drafts, you'll never go back.
I used to stay up the whole night before the paper was due and just go to town. I'd get a seat and have to work my ass off one night. After using the draft system that I was introduced to, I spread out the work, get my sleep, and even get better grades.
Remember the next time you have a paper to type. Think about it as a whole process instead of as an assignment. Go ahead and write that awful draft that you wouldn't care about, and then go on from then. Half the paper is just to begin the process.